joining us today. We've got a special guest, Kevin Evans. Kevin is a board member and, in fact, board chair of the Gualala Community Center. And you viewers may remember over a year ago, about a year and a half ago, we lost a big piece of the community center when an arsonist set fire to it. Kevin's going to talk about what the Gualala Community Center has been doing lately. They've got a lot of plans. They've been working through a lot of process, and we're going to hear the very latest. Kevin, good to see you today.
Thank you, George, and thank you for the invitation to speak with your audience.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, give us a quick rundown on where is the community center? Where are you at in the process at this point?
Well, we are very excited. We are right now entering the final phase of our construction drawings. Okay. So we're hoping by the middle of August, we'll have 50% of the construction drawings completed, with the final set being ready for submittal for a permit the end of September.
Fantastic. That's a pretty ambitious schedule, it sounds like to me. So for our viewers, construction drawings are the final step that your architectural team takes. And you have to have construction drawings, as you mentioned, to get a building permit from the county. Mm-hmm. And then ultimately, that's the set of documents that a contractor will use, or that's the set of documents that you'll put the project out for bids. Is that all correct?
That's exactly right.
Wonderful.
So where we're at.
So the end of September. That's not too far off. That's great. That's great. Remind us. You've made presentations within the last number of weeks or whatever. Remind us who the architecture firm is that you all hired.
The architect firm is Oliver and Company, and they're based out of Richmond. They were part of. We actually did a request for a proposal, and we received 14 interested general contractors that wanted to bid on building our community center, and we got a good cross-section of both local general contractors, but also regional general contractors as well. So we were very fortunate.
Yeah, that's great. And you selected this firm as that was your final selection.
Correct.
Wonderful. And
Correct.
you've been working with them now for some number of months, right?
Yeah, about 3 months.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the design of this proposed new facility. You've already rolled that out for the public in recent weeks. We've seen a number of renderings and a very nice model of the facility.
Thank you.
Would you explain a little bit about the facility, what's in it, what things you all thought were important to include in it, and how this design satisfies those needs?
Thank you for the question. Our main goal of the board and the rebuilding committee was to replicate what we had. So we had a main hall in the old building. We had a kitchen area that was very, very important to serve not only public but private events. And we had an auxiliary room, which served as our clothing department. So what we wanted to do is combine all those uses into one footprint again. And we were able to do that. We conducted 3 town hall meetings and did 1 survey. And we were very happy that the public pretty much thought the same way that our board and the rebuilding committee, that the main goal was to provide a large meeting space for the public to have private and public events for weddings, quinceañeras, celebration of life, but also public meetings, much like the Lions crab feed. So they wanted a room that could handle that. They did want a kitchen area that would be able to handle not only private events, but also commercial use as well. And we were able to accommodate that. Right. Another demand in the community was to provide a small meeting space for small groups, like the Pacific Quilters to have a board meeting, or the Redwood Coast Ed Foundation to have a board meeting, but not have to rent a large hall to do so. So we were
Right.
able to build a small conference room on as well.
Fantastic. And then part of that small space, if I recall correctly, had sort of a little cafe area or place where there could be small amounts of food, not necessarily using the whole kitchen, not for a meal, but you could handle kind of cafe type things.
Exactly. And the concept behind that was, first and foremost, when Pay and Take was at its heyday, we were able to open up a little cafe where people can buy some baked goods, get a coffee, sit and visit with their friends. Well, we wanted to recapture that idea. And so
Right.
that's why the cafe was designed to really accommodate people that just wanted to go in and socialize and meet with friends and be able to have a baked good from Pay and Take and a cup of coffee.
That's fantastic. Yeah, because as I recall, it seems to me because the baked goods at Pay and Take, they weren't there every Saturday, but they were there
Right.
once a month or something like that.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
But my recollection is that there was always a long line of people waiting to get those goodies. And if you were smart, you got there early
Exactly.
so that things didn't weren't sold out by the time you got there. So that's great to accommodate that. And the baked goods and that stuff, that's also part of how the center raises money through the sale of
Correct.
baked goods.
Correct.
So and yeah, and a lot of people seem to there's sort of a core group of people who bake stuff it seems to me it's the same group of people who bake all kinds. I'm remembering those savory onion scones, and I can't remember who makes them, but that was my favorite one. That was my favorite one there. That's fantastic. Let's back up just a tiny bit. So you mentioned a number of users of both the main hall and the smaller conference meeting room
Mm-hmm.
area. So you serve a lot of groups from the area who need a space for a function, a meeting, or whatever. What's that list of people? You mentioned the Lions, and or is it just too big of a list to go through?
It's all of our service clubs are look for a regular meeting place to conduct
Okay.
their meetings. So that's one of the primary users. An unknown but widely used one is our Gualala Municipal Advisory Council.
Oh,
That's where
right.
they hold their regular monthly meeting.
Right. And for our listeners who don't know about that, that sort of serves a similar role to what a city council might do,
Mm-hmm.
because Gualala, like many of our cities, Gualala is not an incorporated city, but the municipal advisory council is sort of like a city council, and obviously they need
Mm-hmm.
someplace to meet. So yeah, so that's great. And did you get feedback from those groups too, the various users and
We
what they'd
did.
like to see? Okay, good,
and
good.
also and also what we were hoping to reintroduce that was lost along the way is reintroducing instructional classes like dance classes, karate
Oh,
classes,
right.
for our
Yeah.
community, and we lost that because of we just were utilizing so much space that we weren't able to accommodate all of the user groups. So that's one of the things that we're incorporating in this new design is to be able to host instructional classes, and we have a portable stage so people can do a
Oh,
performance.
fantastic. Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And the other thing I recall from at the public presentation, the big main hall can also be divided into two somewhat smaller rooms in case you don't need the full room. You can just rent a part of it.
Exactly, exactly right. So we're trying to make it affordable for everybody.
Uh-huh.
And like you're saying, is that if you have a small group of 20, 30 people, you don't need to rent a room that's going to be able to seat 200.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Is that the ballpark number that the main hall will seat? Is that a 200 person room, give or
It
take?
right now with the current design, it's going to be about with the partition open.
Uh-huh.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
It's going to be about 230
That's
seating capacity.
that's pretty good. That's probably going to be the biggest space in our part of the coast. I would I would guess. Gualala Arts Center can fit quite a few people, but I don't know
Right.
that they can. I don't know that they're quite that big. So that's fantastic. So you could
Well,
have a.
oh, go
No, go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
And for everyone who's been to the old community center, the old main hall only seated 165.
Okay. Okay.
So that's a significant addition. So it's going to
Yeah.
be able to accommodate a lot of groups.
So for people like me who don't get our crab feed tickets early enough, now you've got more. You won't run out of space.
Exactly.
I can get there. That's fantastic. Hey, talk to me a little bit more about the building. As I recall, the architects spoke about their ideas of there's a lot of natural light coming into this building, and it fits very interestingly into into its space, into its site and everything. Talk a little bit about some of the features of the building like that the architect imagined, like the natural light and the passive systems that control the building. Can you elaborate on those a little bit?
Yes, exactly right. One of the things that we really posed to the architects was to design a building that would be sustainable.
Okay.
We wanted to be energy efficient,
Mm-hmm.
and they were able to do so, maximizing the use of natural lighting. And that's why, with the skylights and the large picture windows, one
Uh-huh.
to get the beautiful ocean view
Right.
from the building, but also
Right.
to allow indirect lighting to be able to provide lighting for most of the day where we don't have to utilize, say, electrical energy.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also going to put shades in there because we are going to have an upscale audiovisual equipment with a
Okay.
large screen, so people will be able to project videos, or they'll be able to stream in a meeting, a Zoom meeting. So we'll be able to darken the windows with the blinds, but
Right.
be able to allow a lot of natural lighting, which we think is going to be beautiful.
Yeah. Obviously, that's one of the great things about our part of the coast is the lighting is always kind of magical. So this building is
Mm-hmm.
using that beautiful light and also going to save you money because you don't have to flip a switch all the time. Um,
Exactly.
the other thing that I thought was note I call it sort of a spine to the building. I think it's referred to as a gallery
Uh-huh.
that sort of bisects the building, the main hall on one side and the support spaces on the other side. Uh, it- you know, probably most people say, "Oh, that's the hallway," but it's more than a hallway, isn't it? Tell us why
Yes.
it's not just another hallway.
Um, the concept there was to provide a a venue for our local artists to display their works of art. And we thought that a long hallway that's tying in all of the rooms would allow some really nice space for our artists to display their work. And so
Right,
it was more of an art display wall that
right.
was the driving force to having that main center hallway.
And that's all naturally lit from skylights
Yes,
above. Is that correct?
yes,
Yeah. And it's a tall space. It's not like a hallway in an office building that's just
yeah,
normal height. It's a nice big volume of space.
exactly right. Yeah, it's uh, we're excited about it because it's going to be providing some diffused lighting
Yeah,
that will really enhance the pictures that are on display.
right. And will you change those exhibits from time to time, or will it be some kind of program and you bring in different artists over time, or how do you? I know this is jumping ahead, but how do you see it happening?
We're gonna leave that up to our incredible artist community, because there's a
Okay.
huge volume of pictures, and we've got actually our artists have done, as part of our fundraising, they've done 3 art and take events at the
Yes.
community center.
Yeah.
So we're gonna put that on them to work with their group and keep a rotational art display.
Wonderful. That's very cool. Very cool. Let's jump to, I think most folks here who have any connection to the community center are most familiar with Pay and Take. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a big program for you. That's kind of one of the main things that the community center does. How does Pay and Take function in this facility? Where does it go? How does it work?
Uh, well, obviously, Pay and Take is the foundation for the community center. Our
Mhm.
volunteers and their hard work and dedication is what's kept the Gualala Community Center going all these years. So it's our funding base. And we're able to accommodate goods from the community that donate their goods, and we're able to turn it around and sell them at a nominal cost. They are very important, and meeting their needs to house everyone in one location
Mhm.
is paramount to the board
Okay.
and the rebuilding committee. The key there is making it where we maximize the use of the community center and the annex building.
Okay.
So the reason I say that is an idea that was proposed last year
Mhm.
was to expand the annex building to
Okay.
provide enough square footage space to be able to house all of the departments, with the exception of the baking, because we're not going to build another kitchen,
Right. Right.
but to house all of the departments under one roof.
I see.
And that would
Okay.
make it easy for the shoppers and the volunteers. And so
And
that's our goal.
okay, excellent. And to let our viewers, to remind our viewers, the annex, which is a separate building, was saved in the fire.
Correct.
It could have you could have lost that too, but our great fire departments were able to save that building. So the annex, thankfully, you've still got. Yeah, fantastic.
But I do want to share, though, that
Yeah.
we've got a lot of groups that really want to utilize the new building.
Okay.
So the board has really not designated any utilization space yet. So could Pay and Take operate out of the new building? Yes, most
Okay.
definitely. So it's
Okay.
going to be taking all of the user groups, understanding what their needs are, and see how we can make it work.
See if you can fit everyone in
Yeah,
at their times. Yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. Yeah. In the renderings, there's this courtyard outside, um, which is I don't know what it is. It's probably taken up by parking or whatever. And talk to us about that courtyard space that's just outside the building towards the ocean, the west side of the building.
If anybody's been to Pay and Take, then they know that the courtyard serves as a major staging area for
Yeah.
furniture and electronics. So we
Yeah.
wheel everything out, stage it there, and roll it back in. With this design, we're still allowing that capability of
Okay.
being able to set up an expanded Pay and Take sale for furniture and electronics, but we're also accommodating a space for the farmers market.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Okay.
so, as anybody who's visited the farmers market, they know that under inclement weather, sometimes it's a little too muddy
Yeah.
for the farmers to operate. So, we're trying to find a more usable surface, that an all-weather surface, that the farmers could
Right.
set up their operation and not be shut down because of poor weather.
Yeah, yeah, fantastic. So the farmers market's still going to be on the community center property.
Absolutely.
It's just going to be shifted it's going to be slightly moved closer to the building, and as you said, be able to accommodate those rainy or muddy days out there for the farmers and the various people who sell things there. That's great. That's great. You mentioned to me a little bit ago that you'd come out of a meeting with your architects, and that so that you're obviously your thinking and your work proceeds. It's not a static project. What new stuff? What's interesting that you have uncovered or directed the architects, or they've offered to you all?
Well, I guess the best news out of all of it was that we're on schedule. There's no delays. We're hoping to submit the final construction drawings to the county for permitting towards the end of September. And we're looking at breaking ground. Our general contractors set that we're looking at breaking ground the first quarter of 2025.
Wow. That's
that's
just around the corner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we don't have anything that's delaying our project. So we're hoping to get the building rebuilt for our community in the quickest time possible.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we have the county and our architects and the general everybody's singing from the same sheet of music, and they all have that same goal to get it done as quickly as possible.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, let's talk about a little bit about the thing that we've heard about, but everyone's always interested in. What's this building going to cost, and how are you going to handle the finances? I know you've got. Tell us a little bit about money you already have, and how much more, and how you plan to raise those funds.
I'd be happy to. What we have right now is we have about $2 million that we've raised from the community and from our insurance that we were reimbursed for the damage. We've had a really good campaign where we've had local businesses donate their profits from a sale.
Wow, very nice.
We've had, as I mentioned, 3 art and take events that have generated some money. We've had a food sale program done at the Thai Kitchen, selling poke bowls, with the proceeds going to the community center as well. And we've had just a very generous public that have contributed money. So we're right at about $2 million or a little over as far as that. We have a federal grant right now that's pending, thanks to Congressman Huffman, that it's for a community project grant. We're through the USDA, which the United States Department of Agriculture. It's gone through, or it's been passed through the subcommittee. It's gone to the full committee. We're part of their recommended report to Congress. So now we're sitting and waiting for the House and Senate to act on it and have it signed by our president. But so it's in the mix. So
it's in the works.
A nice we also are looking at a resilience grant through the state of California. We missed the filing deadline in 2024, but we're looking at filing again in 2025. One of the things that we're really trying to key on is developing an emergency services center to support RCMS and our local fire district.
So, like in the case of a wildfire or an earthquake or an extreme weather event, when maybe people have to evacuate their homes, the Gualala Community Center might be able to serve that role, where people can come and be safe and have water and food and electricity and heat,
absolutely,
in the middle of an emergency. That's
the other part of that too, which sometimes we don't realize, is when they do the rolling blackouts and they shut power.
Oh, yeah.
There are people up on the ridge that lose power, which means they lose air conditioning.
Yeah.
So, and it gets pretty warm up on the ridge. So
right.
providing a cooling center for people to come down and get in an air conditioned building, have a cool drink, charge their phones. We're trying to provide that type of service to our community, and a lot of people wanted to see that, and they responded as such.
Yeah, fantastic. So you still got a ways to go on your fundraising and everything, and you're going to continue on with the stuff that you've been doing? Have you got any other activities planned? Are you has a super generous donor showed up yet with the big bag of cash?
Not yet, but we're hoping that by getting the word out through the people that listen to your show and through the ICO and some of the other information services that we have in our community, we're trying to get the word out and let people know. We're taking the model and the renderings on the road, so we're letting people see them in real time.
Yeah, that's a great move. When you see the model, it's like that people are captivated because it's like, okay, this project can really happen. Yeah, that's very neat. That's very neat. I will say this, it's a very nicely done model. Having spent a bunch of my years as an architect and in younger years building models, I appreciate the work that goes into them, and that's a really nice model. So that model will pay for itself in fundraising. So
nice.
Absolutely. Well, Kevin, anything else you want to add? You want to add about the whole process that our viewers and listeners might be interested in?
Just stay engaged, and we'd love to have your input.
Yeah,
and love to have your support, and whatever we can do as a board. If you'd like us to give a presentation to a small group or a club, or to help get the word out, we would be more than happy to do so.
Super.
And yes, if anybody has any fundraising ideas, please contact us. We've had people say that they would like to do a fundraising concert. We have an idea of a golf tournament. So we've got a great community with a lot of fantastic ideas, and if we could work with someone to make it happen, we will do it.
And if all of our viewers would like to financially contribute, how can they do that?
They can go to the Gualala Community Center website.
Okay.
And there's a donation link right there.
And they can simply use
it is a nonprofit. So
right. So there's a tax advantage for them.
Exactly.
And they can use a credit card, a debit card. And I suppose if they want to write a check and mail it to you, the address is also on the website.
Yes.
Fantastic.
It is.
Fantastic. Well, Kevin, thank you so much. The progress is admirable, and it's great to see you guys really making progress, and soon we'll be seeing things happen out there.
Well, thank you for your continued support. You helped launch our campaign when it first happened, and you've been a strong supporter through this whole process. So once again, we thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And to all your listeners.
Thank you. And once again, it's the Gualala Community Center. We've been talking to Kevin Evans, who's the chair of the board and has been completely immersed in getting this new project off the ground, getting it designed, raising money, and hopefully within the next few months, we'll begin to see something coming out of the ground. Kevin, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you, George, so much. And to you and your listeners, have a great day.
Thank you.